How to build wealth in your 30s. I think this is absolutely pivotal. This is your decade where you've kind of played around and figured out what the heck you might want to do. This is your decade to put away as much money as you can generate. Now, a lot of people say that's in your 40s, but I want to give you an extra 10 years to compound that power. And right now we are sitting on some of the greatest new assets called cryptocurrency. We have NFTs, we've got cannabis, real estate's on fire. Why wouldn't you make as much as you can and get investing to build that wealth? So let's get started. Let's talk about what's on the internet. What does the internet say? What does just the traditional financial institute say? I kind of giggle at it, but we're going to talk about it. And then let's talk about some cool investments, some things that I know you can do right now. I can't give you advice. Remember, I'm an educator, not an advisor. But I'm going to talk about some of the things that I do, some of our clients in the 30s do, and how do you get started? And as Glenn Morshower would say, today would be the best day. What does the internet say? What do financial institutes say about how to build wealth in your 30s? So they would say things like keep your house payment under 25% of your take-home pay, move as little as possible, meaning physically move around. They would say to drive modest, dependable cars. They would say don't buy new. I'd have to agree with that one thing. Don't worry about what other people think. I do have to agree with that. I don't really care what anyone thinks. Be ready for windfalls. Maybe mom and dad die. Maybe your neighbor dies. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Focus on your future. Absolutely. I would say focus on now. And what I'm going to say over all of that is how about we just start making some more money? So if you have a job, that's fine. But to live the life of being a wealth builder, you have to live corporate life. In fact, I'm doing a lot of trending and conversation this year about own nothing, control it all. That means inside of a company. So it's a side hustle or a hustle. If you want to know more about that, go up to my search bar. I have a ton of stuff about the side hustle and when you switch and how to quit your job. But in your 30s, it's time to be an entrepreneur if you're not already. And you have to do it inside an LLC, an S Corp, and a C Corp in the United States. You put it in corporate structure because then you get to tap the largest tax code in the world, 81,000 pages of tax code, by being an entrepreneur. And with all that extra money, I would say, not like the internet says, I would say take all of that extra money and invest it. That's how you start an amazing amount of compounding power of money. What I want you to do, though, is, and I kind of agree, but I don't like the words modestly, is take your W-2 income, if for those of you who have one, and just live on that. If you just lived on that, regardless of how you spend that money, and took all your entrepreneur money and started putting it into real estate, iFlip, which is a software. In fact, I'm going to give you a link to our iFlip software in the notes below. It takes you out of the market. We've had a rock and roll market. And when it rocks and rolls and you lose 30%, I lose about 2 to 3%. So then I don't have to start at the same place. Yeah, I start at the low and I keep going up. You have to recover. So why are you choosing to do that and keep your money parked in a financial institute, or I call it parking and praying? You park your money, you pray to God. Somebody's going to care more about it than you do. They don't. They get fees. They get a big salary. As long as they're doing their little, their algorithm on your money, you aren't the winner. They are. So take control and get financially literate in your 30s. In fact, I say your whole life. But if you're just seeing this video now, it's time to begin. Become an entrepreneur number one and live on your W-2. If you're already an entrepreneur, it's time to ramp up that revenue. If you've been making under 100,000, I have a guaranteed process to get you over 100, take you to 200,000. So now you're accredited. You got to get in the game. Have to get in the game. So if you're an entrepreneur listening, let's talk a little bit just here, and then again, I want you to go out and search for a real longer video and information about a side hustle and a hustle. A hustle is when you're going for that 6 figures. And at that point, you really do need to consider quitting your job and totally going for it. How do you really ramp up your business? Because those of you that are listening and you're an entrepreneur and you're in your 30s and you're making 6 figures, marketing, sales, and managing cash flow is going to take you from 6 figures to 7 figures. And that is ramping up your database. That's through all social channels. I have a marketplace. I'm going to give you some tickets at the end of this video on how do you make money? How do you get better team and better systems to start scaling? Some of you have businesses you honestly, maybe this is your cash out year. I have clients in their 30s, right? They've cashed out. They've sold their companies for several million. I have one client that sold their business for 5 million, 7 million, another for 24 million. I've sold companies for 21 million. It's time to ramp up that revenue and put it to work in great assets. So you're going to need some money rules. Let's talk about how you start investing. I think that a lot of 30-year-olds, if you don't have kids and haven't started the family program, you're doing usually big lifestyle stuff and you're not putting enough money away and you're not putting it into diverse assets. So money rules is something to talk about and think about, is what do you want your investment portfolio to look like? All right, so you could do iFlip, which I talked about. You have cryptocurrencies. I'd be careful. There's a lot of risk if you don't know how to be in that. I've had a lot of people lose a lot of money, but I've had a lot of people actually become millionaires. Last year, I had somebody do almost 4 million in digital currencies, but didn't get any advice on the tax side, now has a tax burden. So you have to be careful and be very conversational. That's what I always say. That's why we have a live out loud is one of our slogans, because you want to live out loud. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about your strategies. Let us that have been there, done it, help you verify that your strategies are going to work. And there's some legs to it. Get into real estate, right? Some of you. Now, in the internet version, it said to not move as much. I have a lot of clients in their 30s who don't have kids, right? So a strategy for a lot of real estate folks is take advantage of the tax strategy as a couple or an individual. As an individual, you can move as much as you want. Every 2 years, if you bought a fixer-upper, fixed it up, sold it in 2 years, you can take up to $250,000 in profits without paying any capital gains tax and move it to the next house. Then you go again, fix that one up. 2 years later, sell that, take another $250,000. So within a 10-year span, you could move 5 times, which is why I don't agree with the internet. And you could move 5 times, that's $1.25 million of tax-free money. If you're a couple, you can move $500,000. So why wouldn't you pick up and move every 2 years for a while? Get fixer-upper, sell it. Again, a couple gets $500,000, move to the next, do it again and do it again and do it again. That's what is that? 5 times $2.5 million? Are you kidding? And the internet says not to move. I would say if you're up for it and you want to be out and move around, I'd move as much as you can. That's a lot of money that you don't have to earn. You earn it through the house and you move it forward. Huge wealth building strategy I use with my real estate folks. So I have many, many, many more of these strategies. If you think I'm just getting on a roll, I have so many strategies to help you wealth build in your 30s. I was a millionaire at 34. That's why I'm so passionate about the 30s. And I'm going to tell you a story about how I did some of that. But before we do that, I want you to subscribe to my channel. I want you to click on that little bell so every morning you get up, there'll be a notification, and we start a 5-day-a-week financial literacy journey together. And I want you here on my YouTube channel. I also have an amazing podcast. I want you to start sharing this with your community. And those of you who really want to binge watch, get in here and binge watch. We have playlists. Get financially literate as a goal this year. So my journey in my 20s, I met Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter, and I became the master distributor of the cash flow game. And from 1996 to 2000, I worked with that organization. I sold their game, I sold their product. So those of you who are thinking, oh gosh, I have a job, how am I going to have an entrepreneurial venture? Do what's easy for you. I'm not going to say do what you love. I'm not that person. If you don't love what you do, but it's making you money and you know how to do what you know how to do. That's easy, because we have a lot of work to do out here to teach you to be a darn good entrepreneur and then a wealth builder on how to invest that money you make. Because I can promise you the pattern of being a wealth builder in, I don't care what decade it is, you have to make it, invest it, make it, invest it. Most of you are learning improperly, or it was just inherited behavior. You make, spend, make, spend, make, spend. And you make just enough to spend and create the lifestyle that you want. I want you to wash all that and say, what do you really want for your life? And I want you to make and invest and design the life you want. In your 30s, there's no better time to do it. So I was a millionaire at 34 years old. I did it in real estate. I was not a planned parent. So January 8th, I found out I was going to have a child. So I called the mentor that I was resisting to pay $25,000 to. I paid it. Within days, I was in Oklahoma City. He taught me how to raise capital, how to buy real estate. Within 6 months, I was a real estate millionaire, about right around my 34th birthday, and then had my son Logan in September that year. So it is really important. I love this decade. I love it for you, and I'd love to help you. So I want you to click on the link below. I want you to go take my financial personality quiz. I want to see what you're doing with your life, who you are, and then it's going to be followed by an application to talk to one of our team members. And it's a private conversation about what you want and how we can help you. So I look forward to that. Also following that, we'll send you out 2 tickets to our marketplace where we're going to teach you how to make some money. And don't forget to click on the link to get our iFlip software. Talk to you tomorrow.